Heaven Official's Blessing. Chapter 110. Audio source: WuXiaWorldAudiobook.com. Fight the Reverend. Crown Prince takes Wind Master's place. However, no more sounds came from Shi Qingchen. Xie Lian was feeling unsettled. Lord Wind Master, what happened to you? Are you still here? What's going on? Why aren't you saying anything? If he was only taken away by rowdy night cruisers who were only seeking a bit of fun, he wouldn't be so quiet so suddenly. So had he met harm already? But being anxious and distraught was useless, since he didn't even know where Wind Master was. The crowd finally quieted down and Ming Yi was finally able to push out from the Temple of Wind and Water. The Heaven Realm had a decree: never use spiritual powers selfishly on mortals, nor appear before them at will. If mortal lives were harmed or taken, it would be recorded and penalized. That decree certainly made things difficult for law-abiding heavenly officials. Otherwise, with just a wave of their hands, those people would fly away like that roof. The crowd finally snapped out of it and started screaming wildly. It's appeared. It really appeared. The monsters have come. And the crowd broke up and dispersed. Lord Earthmaster, Xie Lian asked anxiously, how come you didn't hold on to Lord Wind Master earlier? Have you seen him? When was he lost? There were ghosts snuck in and ambushing people in the crowd earlier, Ming Yi explained. It seemed that he saw there were lives on the line and split his attention to go save them, attacking ghosts, but lost a friend. Let's split up and search, Xie Lian said. He shouldn't have gone far. Suddenly, within the spirit communication array came Shi Qingchen's voice anew. He was laughing boisterously. Ha! This laughter came abruptly, and at least there was finally something, and Xie Lian hurriedly asked, Lord Wind Master, what happened to you just now? Why did you suddenly stop talking? I thought something happened to you. HAHHOWCANYTHINGHAPPEN to this Wind Master IWASONLYTRYINGTOSCAREYOUALL HMINGXIONGYOUBASTARDYOUNOTGRABHOLDOFME. If I die, I'm definitely turning into Supremeto. Come in how NTYOU ha. Stop your ha-ing. Say something sensible, Ming Yi demanded. Xie Lian already knew that the more anxious and frightened Shi Qingchen was, the more he would ha. In fact, he'd even forgotten to pause between words. Xie Lian interrupted. You didn't open your mouth to speak, did you? Your expression didn't show any obvious changes? Have you fought back? I didn't speak. My expressions didn't change. I didn't fight back, Shi Qingchen said. Xie Lian relaxed his tone and said gently, very good. Lord Wind Master, listen to me. Everything's alright, don't be scared. Keep up the current status quo and pretend you didn't notice anything. If you have something to say, just tell it to us here in the spirit communication array secretly. Absolutely do not let that creature notice you already know what it is. Slowly spread your spiritual aura and form a spiritual barrier to protect your person. That way you can at least ensure you won't trip or fall into a ditch. If any weapons should attack you, you'd be able to sense it too. Shi Qingchen's voice sounded like weeping without tears. Oh, and then? Xie Lian continued. And then take deep breaths. Just like that. Do it a couple times. Do you feel a little better? His tone was very soft and gentle, quite effective when it came to comforting another. Shi Qingchen said, maybe a little bit. Thanks, Your Highness. Xie Lian then tried probing. Now, how do you think you would feel if you tried to open your eyes and sneak a look at that creature pulling you? Would he be able to hang on? I'll probably die, Shi Qingchen said. It seemed if Shi Qingchen was to open his eyes, his terror would peak the moment the eyes could see, and turn into the most delicious and delicate meal for the Reverend of Empty Words. After that, he would probably lose all ability to fight. Besides, if the moment he opened his eyes and that thing was also staring back at him, the esteemed Wind Master would probably foam at the mouth on the spot and crash like a fallen star. Xie Lian said, "Then you just keep your eyes closed. After it took you out of the Temple of Wind and Water, which direction did you go?" Mingyi asked. Right now what they need the most was Shi Qingshan's location. Shi Qingshan's eyes were closed and couldn't see where he was going, but he should still have a general idea of his position and use the count of his steps to determine how far away he was. Yet, Shi Qingshan replied, "I don't know. You don't even know such a thing." Shi Qingshan was outraged. Who in their right minds would remember those things? And didn't I think it was you pulling me? On the side, Hua Cheng was still only observing, and was already bored to the point where he changed back into his red robes. Then he changed to black robes again, then to white robes. Almost every time Xie Lian looked back, he would be donning a different appearance, and every look accompanied different hairstyles, accessories, and boots, etc. Sometimes playful, sometimes elegant, sometimes deadly, sometimes glamorous. Xie Lian was growing dizzy from all the colors and kept looking back, unable to look away. Yet the moment he realized what he was doing, he blinked fiercely, stopping himself from blurting out, "That outfit's not bad. That looks good," and said instead, "Stop, stop, now's not the time to argue." With every word Lord Wind Master takes another step, and the more he goes the harder he'd be to find. Shi Qingshan moaned grievously. "I say, is it really that hard for you guys to find me? It's not more than 50-60 steps. It can't be over 100, and we're not even going that fast." "Not over 100 steps." Mingyi immediately charged out, disappearing at the end of the street. Not long after, he reappeared fast as lightning before the entrance of the Temple of Wind and Water. "Not there? Curses. The distance-shortening array!" Xie Lian cried. After that reverend of empty words used that chaos to take the Wind Master out of the Temple of Wind and Water, it probably casted the distance-shortening array and sent them both elsewhere. Otherwise, a distance within 100 steps should have been easy to find. Once that spell was used, who knows where in the world they were sent. Searching for the Wind Master was no different than searching for a needle in a haystack. They couldn't be careless in this affair, and Xie Lian immediately said, "I will go report this to the Heavenly Court." However, Shi Qingshan hastily stopped him. "Wait, Your Highness, don't go. You promised me to keep this a secret. My brother's third heavenly calamity is about to approach. The third one is huge, he can't be perturbed right now. Keep this up, I'll make you go through a trial right now," Mingyi said. Shi Qingshan was enraged. "I said no and I mean it. How many eyes are watching my brother? This thing definitely picked this timing intentionally. I won't let it have its way. Never. Even if I die and my bones rot, it'll still have to be after my brother's completed his trial before I be dug out." A moment later Mingyi relented. "Fine. Very good." Xie Lian was sharp and sensed that in his tone there was a wave of fury oppressed, and it was an intense emotion that never surfaced before, making Xie Lian feel rather unsettled. Unwilling for any other issues to start, he cut in. "Lord Wind Master, is that creature still moving with you in hand?" "Yes," Shi Qingshan replied. "It's dragging my arm. Is there anything notable on its body? Like a peculiar essence of evil, or a certain scent, feel, or something?" Xie Lian asked. "No, there's nothing. What about your surroundings? Like, is the path under your feet jagged or smooth? Have you stepped on something or kicked something?" Xie Lian wanted to see if he could draw a general perimeter based on surrounding environments. "The path is very strange," Shi Qingshan said. "Very soft, very light, like clouds." Xie Lian thought, "You're probably just weak in the knees from terror." 2 out of 5 of Shi Qingshan's senses were already sealed. It was hard to scrape any clues, and they would more than likely break off from here. Although Hua Cheng had always been next to them watching the show leisurely, but him coming had always been only for entertainment. He had no attachments to Shi Qingshan whatsoever, and as an entity of the ghost realm, he had no reason to help a heavenly official. Second, Xie Lian didn't want to trouble him and beg him for help all the time. Thus, he steadied himself and said, "Lord Wind Master, I have a way to have you break away from that creature immediately. But, I need your permission." Shi Qingshan instantly replied, "Okay, I give you permission." However, Hua Cheng suddenly stopped. "The soul-shifting spell." "What?" Xie Lian responded. "That's right. The soul-shifting spell." The soul-shifting spell was exactly like as its name indicated, and it was a stint to switch souls. Using my eyes to see what you see. The spell wasn't often used. First, it brutally burnt spiritual power. Second, very few are willing to give up control of their own bodies. Hua Cheng's expression grew serious. "Gerger, prudence. What are you gonna do if it faces you?" Shi Qingshan asked. "I'm not scared of it, so it doesn't matter," Xie Lian replied. "Do it," Ming Yi said. Hua Cheng, however, pressed again. "Gerger, please reconsider." Suddenly, Shi Qingshan said. It stopped. Hearing this, Xie Lian shouted in the spirit communication array. "No more time to hesitate. Now." Shi Qingshan gritted his teeth and said, "It's all up to you now, Your Highness." "Okay," Xie Lian said. Just as the words left his mouth, he closed both his eyes and his body suddenly felt feather-light, light to the point it felt like he was floating into the heavens. Abruptly it became exceedingly heavy, to the point like he was going to bore into the earth. It was after a wave of nauseating whirling before senses returned to him. He steadied his form, but his eyes were still closed. However, not a single sound could be heard from his ears. There was an hand grabbing hold of his arm, standing still. Xie Lian opened his eyes in a flash, one hand removing the earplugs and the other flipped, seizing the Reverend of Empty Words in reverse. He smiled. "Hi there." Shi Qingshan had his eyes closed for a long time, and it was pitch black all around. Thus, in the instant Xie Lian opened the eyes of his body, he couldn't yet adjust to the darkness and couldn't see anything. However, what was grabbing onto him was now something he grabbed onto. Rui wasn't around, so Xie Lian casted a hand-locking spell, and secured that hand like a steel cuff to prevent the other to escape using magic. Within the spirit communication array came Shi Qingshan's voice. "Your Highness, are you alright? Maybe it's better if you switch back and I'll take over myself." It seemed Shi Qingshan had also safely switched this body. Xie Lian had in his hand a firm grip on that Reverend of Empty Words, and his leg shot out, kicking at it over 30 times. "I'm fine." Since souls were only just switched, it would need time to adjust. Once he's gotten used to it, his moves would become even more brutal. "Your Highness, let me tell you the incantation for manipulating my spiritual devices. Use as much of my spiritual power as you need. Don't hold back." Xie Lian had no sword to wield and flashed open the Wind Master fan. "Okay," Shi Qingshan then added. "I'll tell you the spell for transforming into a woman too. I'm stronger in my feminine form." Xie Lian resolutely refused. "No, that's not necessary." Hua Cheng spoke up gravely. "Gerger, hurry and take a look at the surroundings. Tell me what place it is." "No," Ming Yi said. "Tell us first what is fighting you right now." After some exchanges, Xie Lian's eyes were gradually adjusted to the dark environment. He squinted and looked to that black shadow before him. End chapter.